What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sistas. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sistas. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
All right, Sistas fan. Andy can't catch a break. The fans keep going in week after week after week, and it is something else. Guys, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon, and turn on all notifications. That way you are made aware whenever I post to the channel. And go down to that description box. I mean, you'll find links to everything. The Facebook groups I run for these individual shows I review, the Facebook page for the Haves and the Have-Nots, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff in the description box below. Also there, if you want to donate to the channel, you can do so via PayPal or Cash App, or you can join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Not mandatory. It was great if you want to donate, but with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this. I pretty much just wanted to cover I want to focus on the ending of this week's episode of Sistas, while also talking about other factors as well from the episode and previous ones too. But Andy goes into the jail to pretty much give Gary the good news about, hey, everything went great at the job. I got Bellamy, I called him out. The associates are going to look into the case with the FBI, look over the evidence. And I love how Gary was like, what, help me? You mean help us, right? Well, no, I'm good. I'm pretty much had nothing to do with this. So I'm pretty much good to go. It's just a matter of, my apartment and everything back. Gary's like, oh, don't worry about it. I got somebody who's going to help get that in the morning. And then, pretty much just to assure that Hayden has nothing to do with this because he doesn't want her talking with anyone. So Andy, to me, is written like Jeffrey Harrington from the Haves and the Have-Nots, in the sense that sometimes there are badass moments where Jeffrey and Andy stand up. I mean, I guess you could say Veronica is to Jeffrey what Gary is to Andy. Obviously a mother-son versus a toxic, no, both are definitely toxic relationships, just different forms of relationships. A mother and a son, and a guy and his mistress. So Andy pretty much puts her foot down like, look. This whole jealousy thing, you belittling my career, how I live. You just want me to move to, the boonies to be alone with you. And, I just love how she got up and left as soon as she mentioned what Jasmine said about, being controlling. Oh, you talking with her too? I can't do this. I'm out of here. Guard. I like that. That was actually a pretty good line. I just feel like Andy's badassery the past couple episodes have been great. From her standing up to Bellamy, taking back her career, and then her walking out on Gary. While these are epic Andy moments, I feel like, just like with Jeffrey will do something badass, like, I know it's kind of messed up to say this, but attack his mom, like when nobody else will. But then he's reduced to just this blubbering man-child who's incapable of standing up to peer pressure and pretty much written to be a wimp. I don't think Andy has been written to be a wimp. She's been written to make stupid ass decisions based on her emotions. Like, she's so wishy-washy. Like, at the beginning of the episode, she shoots down Paris because, to be completely honest, he was kind of ruining the conversation with his own mouth, but then Andy just wasn't here for it. So now that she's done with Gary, she's going to call Paris to invite him out to the gay club later that night. So he's pretty much nothing more than the rebound guy. So even if Andy and Paris have a good time together, it wouldn't surprise me if her and Gary hook up again in the near future. Or at the very least, you could say, well, Jeremy, even if Andy and Gary are really through, that $250,000 is probably going to be something that plays a role in those two interacting again in the near future. I honestly believe that. But here's the thing when it comes down to it. I really feel like Andy and Gary, I'm not going to sit up here and say they're over. Look at how many times Jeffrey said that he wanted nothing to do with Justin, but then he kind of, continues to, poke the bear because he loves that drama. So I feel like even Karen brought it up about, once again, the abusive relationship that Andy was in college. It's one of those scenarios where we definitely see a person who's dealing with a lot of stuff in their life, and the fact that they want to find love in all the wrong places. Same thing with Karen and Aaron, but we're not going to get into that. I definitely feel like this was a great scene. Andy got a backbone, but if this doesn't last, it just feels like Tyler will undo the epicness of this scene. Same thing with Zach, a character from this same show, a character who pretty much has moments this season where he shows to be mature and moving on, but then he does reckless stuff like breaking into that hotel room, and then he lands in jail. And then in the episode review, I congratulated Zach on that mature moment by apologizing to Rhea. But even if, that was a great scene, if he does something immature and stupid within the next episode or two, it pretty much undoes the maturity that he showed at some moment. So I really do feel like as we move closer to the mid-season, I know it feels weird for me to say mid-season because I know this season is like 22 episodes, so technically episode 11 or 12, episode 10 or 11 would be close to the mid-season. It's hard to believe. I mean, this was episode 5. Time is flying by. Well, then again, we did get 2 episodes that first week. That's probably why it feels that way. But I hope that Tyler writes these characters more consistently. To be honest, for the most part, they're realistic. And even though they're making dumb decisions, for the most part, they're really human decisions we make day by day. But it feels hard to rock with a character when they do something badass just for them to do something stupid to negate the badassery like an episode or 2 later. So do I think Gary and Andy are done? It depends. I feel like Andy... I feel like Andy will change plans if it rained, So I feel like the same thing between her and Gary. Like, they're going at it now, but an episode or 2, she'll probably think about, I miss Gary. It's like, let's say if her and Harris hit it off, and then it looks like they're seeing each other for like 2 episodes, Gary will say or do something, and then she'll instantly kind of go back to him. I don't know. Like, what if it turns out Gary is telling the truth when the evidence comes back? Will Andy change her tune then? I just feel like Andy uses men for her own desires, and then she moves on to the next one. Like, literally when she goes into the salon to tell Karen the good news about the job and show her the $250K, and it's like, well, Gary might be innocent, but I ran into Paris too. Oh yeah, isn't he the grandson of the woman that you helped out at work? Yeah. That Paris. And it's like, okay, well, you're talking about him and how nice he is. What about Gary? What do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's very fickle. And I'm not saying that Andy's obligated to stay with Gary, because I just don't, I don't know. But I just wanted to ask the question, do you think that Andy and Gary are done for good? Do you think that $250,000 will come into play again? And what do you think is going to happen? And don't forget, Jasmine is still recovering in the hospital. Who knows what kind of hell she's going to rain down when she eventually gets out. So with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you, like I said before, if you want to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal and Cash App. Or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. I mean, if you want to send $250,000 my way, like Gary did for Andy, I'd appreciate it. But just know, if you send it, you ain't getting it back.